Okay, so while Chucky and I were working on his Zeter tractor, we ran into needing an O-ring. So this is the weirdest crank pulley nut I've ever seen, but it has a little dust O-ring here. Right, and that's the O-ring for it, and we go through his kit, and lo and behold, it's way too thick. You know, you just can't make that work.
Yeah, it's not going to fit at all. So
a field worker's best friend when it comes to O-rings, especially you hydraulic guys, is an O-ring making kit or a splicing kit. This particular one is Loctite, part number 00112. I've used this in the field. I know plenty of other people that have used this in the field. We have zero failures, zero problems with this. Certain O-ring manufacturers actually have a process in their books and pamphlets how to build their own O-rings. But you open it up, this is what it comes with. You've got this, I'll show you how to use this in a minute. It comes with several different varieties of O-ring cord. That's what they call this material, is cord material. So what you do, you find out what cord material that we need. And since our O-ring is all kind of messed up and flattened, we're not really sure what size this is. So all you got to do is take your part, stick the O-ring in it, flatten it down a little bit and say, okay, well that's going to be a little too wide. I think that one will be about perfect when it fits in there. So FYI, me and razor blades do not get along at all. I usually cut the hell out of myself every single time. So you take your old O-ring, cut it in half, and we're going to cut it in half at its worst looking spot right there. Okay, that folds it out flat. And you want to measure this out. Now don't pull it to where you stretch it, but just get it as close as possible. Take your cord material. This is how I do it, and I mean it's going to waste just a hair, but cut it off a little bit longer. Okay, so I know I got about 1/4 of an inch. I'll stick that through there. That's going to be just about right. Now you can see there's a slit right in there, and if your razor blade is out of the package,
oh, that's cool.
Makes it easier, but just stick your razor blade down in there like that, draw it, and it cuts it off absolutely square. And usually, I probably used them all up, but I save all these little O-ring pieces because you end up needing them for whatever ridiculous reason. But so you take your material, make sure you're squared off. We're going to wrap it around our part. Make sure that it's, so that should be just about right. And that's when we put it on, it's going to stretch and fit pretty good.
Okay.
All right, so now you need some isoacrylate, which is super glue. All you take is just make sure the cops don't see it. Chucky gets it.
Just thinking that. Maybe I'll title the video that.
Yeah. All right, so this is what these grooves are for on the side. You're supposed to put your O-ring down in this like that, put it there, push them together, and then you hold together. Now super glue or isoacrylate is kind of heat activated, so you can kind of breathe on it.
Yeah, just give it a kiss.
With a hot breath. I really don't like using this tool to do this because once you get done, usually the O-ring sticks to the groove and then you mess up the ends. I just generally do it by hand, but we'll let it sit there for not too long because I don't want to stick into the tool. And something else I do is once it's glued together, I'll come back with the super glue and I'll put a drop on the outside. Kind of gives it just a little bit more rigidity. And then just let it dry up and then use it. So we got the silicone. Paste it on there. Spread it around your fingers. Get it all nice and lubed up. And we're going to put it in that groove. Okay, and there you go. Now we have an O-ring that's ready to go. Man. And so you can build these in the field, extremely easy. They sell all kinds of O-ring cord material, and this is just an invaluable tool when you're in the field because you don't want to have to go 60 miles into town for one stinking O-ring. And I know I'm going to get a lot of comments. They're like, "Oh, you can't super glue. We vulcanize ours. That's blah blah blah." Do and say whatever you want. If you don't think it'll work for you, then don't do it and worry about it. Don't do it. But for me, I have never had one of these fail. I've never super glued an O-ring together and had it come apart. I've never had to take something apart where I made my own O-ring. And I have literally, I didn't have the right cord, but I had some O-rings. I have cut O-rings material, like 3 or 4 O-rings together and glued them all together to make one O-ring. never had it fail. And I know the customers that I did it for, if it failed, they would let me know and I'd have to come back and do it for free. But
dude, yeah, I'm picking one of these up. When you first told me about this, I was thinking this is going to be some like hillbilly hacked emergency, you know, side of the road deal. But, you know, this is a legit kit. This seems to be an established procedure.
Yeah, it is. And man, I'll have to ask him. Doug with SV Seeker, in one of his videos, he talks about making O-rings, and that's where I learned it from. And I've been in this industry. I didn't know. And it's not Parker, but it's one of the main O-ring, Hannon or something like that. One of these main O-ring manufacturers in their O-ring manual has a specific way to build these. And in his, it says cut it at a 45-degree angle and then glue them together. And I've done that, and I've done it straight. I don't think either way is better than the other, but
it works.
Yeah, there's manufacturers out there that this is an approved procedure for. And
thanks for the demo.
no problem. Get out and fix something.